First now, whose revival chances have completely faded. The Delhi High Court has instructed the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, DGCA, to proceed with deregistering and surrendering all aircraft to the lessors. The High Court ruling has permitted lessors to reclaim the 54 Go First aircraft, ending creditors' hope of obtaining a favorable valuation for the now defunct airline. Without the planes, there are a very few assets left for the airline to be sold as a viable entity, potentially disrupting the current bankruptcy proceedings with no prospect of revival. The lenders will meet today to determine the future course of action. What could be the future course of action? If there are no aircraft, there is little to no value that Go First offers.
You're right. And even before the Delhi High Court blow really to Go First came, and that pretty much has sent the entire valuation negotiation process into a tizzy, simply because you had at least something, and that something was aircraft grounded with lessors having no access to it. The Delhi High Court ruling on Friday has pretty much quashed all those expectations, and lessors in the next 5 days or so are likely to reclaim their aircraft, and DGCA has instructed the airline to deregister all these aircraft. So this is one part of the story. The second part of the story is that even before the Delhi High Court order came in, the negotiations, and there are exactly 2 bidders who have qualified to bid for Go First. The best offer was actually from the consortium formed between Ajay Singh of SpiceJet and Nishant Pitti of Ease My Trip. And between the 2 of them, that consortium was able to cough up a total valuation of just about 1600 crore rupees for the aircraft. 1600 crore rupees plus whatever dues in terms of salary, etc. for the last almost 10-11 months now, which was to be paid. In fact, we are nearing almost 1 year. 2nd May last year was when Go First actually came down and ceased operations and filed for voluntary liquidation. We are almost on that 1-year anniversary right now, but even as we speak, the 1600 crore rupees, which was the bid value by this consortium, was not pretty much anywhere near what Go First owes to its creditors. Okay. And that figure is about 6,500 crore rupees. Parallelly, Go First is also embroiled in the Singapore arbitration court case against Pratt & Whitney for faulty engines, leading to what Go First calls this voluntary liquidation or voluntary insolvency that Go First had to file for. Now, Go First has actually put a claim of about 8,000 crore rupees in that lawsuit. So, if things were to turn in favor of Go First, then that 8,000 crore rupees or any other agreed amount as per the court ruling is something that Go First could get, which I think is enough for it to pay its creditors at least. But will the lessors who own the aircraft and would have perhaps taken the aircraft back and distributed them among other airlines in India or outside India, will they be willing to come back to the table and offer these services back to Go First is another question altogether. Okay. So where we stand right now, I think one thing is very clear. Everything now in the case of Go First rests on the Singapore tribunal, and if that were to rule in favor of Go First, there could be some fresh fund inflow for Go First, which can pay off creditors and which can give it some lease of life with the lessors to take some aircraft back and at least start flying, maybe with 6 aircraft, 10 aircraft, 12 aircraft to begin with, and gradually expand. But if that ruling,
if the Singapore arbitration comes in favor, it's a big if.
But if Go First were to liquidate before that, or if that ruling was not to come in favor of Go First, then it seems Go First has pretty much hit the end of the runway and it's not taking off from here.
Looks like that decision will be made today. But liquidation seems the only plausible option with the 1600 crore valuation that the bid made was when the 54 aircraft were still.
Unfortunately, I think if the liquidation process happens, then the 1600 crores is thrown out of the window. Absolutely. Because then nobody is really putting in that money. Absolutely. Then I think the only parcel of land in Thane which is available to Go First, which has a future development value of about 2,000 crore rupees, is the only mortgage that Go First can use, in defense of this liquidation. And 2,000 crore rupees is all that will be left to be distributed to all creditors, and they still end up losing a good 4,500 crores, if not more.
All right. So whether Go First will still come back, not come back, we don't know. Perhaps Singapore arbitration and a ruling in Go First's case in favor of Go First will decide the future course of action for Go First.